Thank you very much for that kind introduction, and hello, everyone. I wish we were all able to meet in person, maybe next year, but this will have to do. So I'm going to share my screen and describe to you the work that I've been doing, my research, and then how it's been commercialized into into Garden Loft, and then leave some time, hopefully at the end, for some questions. So I'll just share my screen. Oh, there it is, what everybody gets to see, and start this. So growing old, the first thing is, I'm not a doctor, but I do know that growing old is not a disease. It's actually an achievement. It's something that we strive for, and it's something that we should feel good about. Of course, growing old well, it takes a little bit more planning, and that's obviously why you are here today, to learn about how to grow well through all of the various dimensions of the great speakers that have been put together for this conference. Ignoring the future is not good planning. And that probably goes without saying, but I think that particularly when it comes to housing and the fact that we don't want to think about changes that we might need to make, it is easy to ignore the future. And when that happens, too many people are forced into care facilities before it's medically necessary, just simply because they can no longer safely live in their own home. And because they didn't think ahead, the first available bed is their only option. Now, fortunately, this doesn't have to be you. A little bit of planning can help to avoid that at a premature level. With a good plan and the right tools, growing old can be joyous. This is my former mother-in-law. She's 95, and she loves every day and is a model for me in terms of how to age gracefully and well, and how do we make this our life? How do we make a great end of our journey, rather than finding ourselves in a place where we don't want to be? That, to me, as an architect, that's the tragedy of growing old, is being somewhere that you don't want to be, that you may not belong in, and that reduces the quality of life. It takes away agency, it takes away independence. There's got to be something better than that. So let's have a quick history of aging to place things. So before 1945, old age was an achievement. Our elders, we were respected, we were important. It was an achievement. Now, of course, if we go way back in the Middle Ages, you were like 30 when you were in old age, and it was a real achievement to get to 40. But of course, that's not where we are right now. But still, I think it's unfortunate that that something happened in the mid 20th century, where suddenly old age became all about decline, and that the best part of life was in middle age. And we started out as a child, and it's like going over a bridge, and then you sort of end up here in the dumps. And that again is not something that I think is particularly positive, nor is it actually where things are going. And if we look at what's been happening in the last 10 years, we've actually been going back to the staircase. And this idea that the third act, as Jane Fonda likes to talk about it, is actually a profound thing. Now, part of what makes that better is, of course, we are living longer, but we're also living more actively. 70 is the new 50, and so on, right? And we need to appreciate that. Within that, as it's gotten stretched out, and we're not old when we're 35 anymore. We're old when we're at a much more advanced age. There's actually 3 stages of growing old. And I want to talk about this because these 3 have something to do with how we manage the change that naturally occurs, and that we actually expect to occur, because if we don't grow old, well, the alternative isn't all that great. So there is young old, there's middle old, and there's oldest old. Now that roughly corresponds to a temporal situation, but it's also very much about our physical capacity, our physical ability, our mental capacity and ability, as well as our state of mind. We can be young old at 70, we can be oldest old at 70. It really is not so much about chronological age as it is about the way in our stage within the journey of life. And so if we think about that, the only constant in life is change. We know that. Now, as we get older, those changes become more unpredictable, they become more drastic, and they become more consequential. And as we go from young old to middle old to oldest old, those changes become more dramatic and drastic and consequential. So young old, it's about retiring, a shifting lifestyle. What do I do over the course of the next decades of my life when my children are growing? I'm maybe thinking I don't have to be going to work all the time. Maybe my spouse is not working either. Are we going to be able to travel? If so, how? What are we doing? Do we need the house that we had? Do we maybe need to downsize? All of those kinds of things are about a shifting lifestyle. When we get into the middle old category, we're talking about shifting ability. That's where we might start to have trouble walking up the stairs. We might have some mobility issues in our upper body that makes it difficult to reach for up to the upper shelves of or even the upper cabinets in the kitchen. We might start to see some confusion and stamina problems and stability issues and all of those things that are starting to make, again, a different kind of shift than we saw in the first. And then finally, with the oldest old, we're starting to deal with shifting health, where we might have a more serious chronic disease, a terminal illness. We may have some significant health concerns that could be on the cognitive side, leading to Alzheimer's, as well as, on the other side, maybe we go deaf or we go blind or we have a stroke, and we really, those things are having a much more significant situation for when. And really, that oldest old is when we would start to think, I would like to say, that's when we would really start to think about about shifting into a care facility. But really, the first two and some of that third, we believe, and our research has shown, that we can actually manage that living independently in a good way. So if the only constant in life is change, creating resilience helps you manage that change. So resilience is being able to accommodate something dramatic, something unexpected. If we're resilient, if you think about grass is resilient. You step on it and it folds over and then it bounces back. A tree isn't so resilient. Well, it's resilient to some level. You can't push it over, and well, you can when it's young. You can push it over and it bounces back. But of course, it's resilient because it can hold the wind and manage all of that. So if we think about that notion of resilience, what does it mean? In the young old, we're talking about, as we're shifting lifestyle, it's about functional resilience. How do we do the things that we are doing in a slightly different way, in terms of, because we're having such functional changes because of jobs and because of where we might even choose to live, all of those things. When we get to the middle old, it's about emotional resilience. How do we deal with that fact that we're not quite able to do the things we were able to do when we were 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and so on, and make sure that we maintain that resilience so that we're able to manage, but also be able to maintain our independence and our agency in light of those changes. And then finally, with shifting health, it's about physical resilience. How do we manage to compensate for those things? Now, these three zones of aging are not discrete. We might find ourselves with a health issue that creates a physical resilience, that might actually cause us to retire, but then we're able to manage that as a chronic disease. And it's not until something else happens that we find the problem. We have lots of people that actually don't retire and continue working into middle old and sometimes even oldest old. And so this is really about three overlapping types of resilience that's required. And now, how do we do that? Well, if I was a medical practitioner, I would say, well, you got to eat right, you got to exercise, don't drink too much, don't smoke, do all of that sort of stuff. I'm not that. I'm an architect. So what I'm interested in are the places in which you live, and what are the qualities of those places that can help you as an individual to manage that functional resilience, that emotional resilience, and that physical resilience. So let's do a quick graph. I couldn't be an academic without a graph. On the left-hand side going up, we've got our ability. On the right, on the bottom, we've got age, and we see that green dot is us. And so for most of our life, change is good. In fact, in those first 18 to 20 years, it's positively meteoric as we learn to hold our head up, to sit up, to stand up, to walk, to talk, to go through school, to do all of those things. And finally, around the age of 18, we reach that point where our ability exceeds that of a typical house. Now, there's if you could remember back to having teenagers or maybe teenage grandchildren, you know that it's a little iffy at that. It's a bit of a rough launch, right? Can you do your groceries? Can you do your laundry? Can you do the dishes? Can you pay your bills and make enough money? Do all of that kind of stuff to look after yourself. But generally, everybody gets past that point and we are off and we are above that line, and we are above that line until something happens that takes us below that line. And that hopefully doesn't happen for a good long time, but it could happen tomorrow. It could happen when you're in your early 20s, your early 30s, your early 40s, you get in a car accident, you contract a chronic disease. All sorts of things can happen that take us below that line of living in a typical house. But let's just assume the best possible scenario. And somewhere out there, things start to shift. And we reach this point where we are back almost where we were when we were in our late teens, early 20s, where because of physical decline, cognitive decline, chronic disease, we've reached that point where it's a struggle to stay in our existing house. It may be about being able to clean it or do the walks. It might be cooking and bathing. It might be walking up the stairs. It might be able to, all of those just move around if we're in a wheelchair. All of those things make it dangerous to live in a typical house. So for example, not all houses are the same. If your bathroom with the shower is upstairs and you have trouble going up to the upstairs, that's a real problem. This is the piece that bothers me, is right here when we reach that tipping point. If you can no longer live there, you may stay for a little while until it gets really safe, but then something happens and you are not able to stay there anymore and you're in a care facility. And there is a huge gap in the ability that's required to live in a typical house and a care facility. You may only have one thing. For example, you may not be able to toilet yourself because of an upper arm problem, and you will be in a care facility. That doesn't mean that you can't do anything else. It just means you can't do that one thing. And to me, that's really wrong, because suddenly you've lost your independence, you've lost your agency, and quite frankly, it's a little too easy in a care facility. And what happens is if you don't use it, you lose it. And so we just move along at that lower level until finally it meets, and we at that point where we should be at a care facility. So imagine instead if your home could adapt to match your changing needs and avoid that crisis. What if that straight line wasn't a straight line? And what if it became that dotted line, so that as your ability changed, the house became easier to live in? So that as you were able to go through your functional resilience, it gave you functional resilience, emotional resilience, and physical resilience, so that you are actually able to take that time. That's what Garden Loft is about. That's what we're trying to do. It's what we've been researching. It's what I did my PhD on. How can we make a house that adapts to meet those needs? So whatever those individual needs are that you have, so that it delays the time that you're in a care facility and gives you that new, what we're defining as a new category of aging, assisted independence. There's dependence, independent, assisted independent, and then just for a very short period of time, hopefully, you have an independent lifestyle. So Garden Loft bridges the gap between your existing home and the care home. And what we're trying to do with all of this is redesign the future of aging with a prefabricated portable living unit with advanced safety and support features that I'll describe, that can be delivered right into your backyard. So there's one of our units. You can actually, it's light enough and small enough, although it's 380 square feet, it's quite large. You can put it over the top of a two-story house with a crane into your backyard. So there we see the unit sitting in the backyard of an existing house. And here we have it. You can see that it's in the backyard. We try to set it so that it's level with the deck so you can walk right out. On the right-hand side, you've got your family member's house or a friend's house, or maybe it's your house and you've just moved into the backyard and you've rented out the front house for some extra income and a little bit of help around the house. It's the perfect combination of independence, privacy, and togetherness, because what you're able to do is be together, but also be apart when you need it. And nobody wants to be a permanent house guest, and nobody wants to have a permanent house guest. But this is a way of being able to accommodate that, because most houses that are built today don't have that kind of capacity to allow for multi-generational living. And that close proximity is convenient for your family and makes you easier to provide companionship and informal support. And that informal support goes both ways. If you're in the backyard, you're able to watch the grandkids when they come home from school, and your daughter or son-in-law aren't able to get back to see them. So this is what our unit, this is the 380 looks like. Here's the standing in the space looking out. It's a joyous place to live. This version is 380 square feet. We have a 480 square foot one bedroom, a 650 and 750 square foot one bedrooms. But it is a great uplifting place to live. It has wood siding on the inside so that it's like a cottage or a cabin. I remember growing up and going to Tunnel Mountain and being able to being in those little cabins with my mom and dad, or a cottage. Here we can see again the entrance and the relationship to the backyard. We've got the kitchen and a coat closet on the front, and then we've got this dining space just a little ways in. There's the dining table. You see there's a television there. The cabinetry goes down. We've got a full kitchen or a partial kitchen, depending on what you would like, and then a wall of cabinetry that with the bed. This is standing right at the front door, so the bedroom is behind, or the bed in this studio apartment is behind that television unit. I'll show it to you in a couple of minutes, and you can see how light and airy and lovely it is, and everybody gets to choose their own finishes. This may be more modern that you might like. Well, we can have all kinds of different finishes and door styles, and the furniture is what you would want to bring. Here we see the bed. So the bed with its close proximity to the bathroom. There's a window on the side for extra ventilation. Coming back, you can see they're standing in that same spot that I was in. Just to the right, you'll see it a little bit later. There is a television facing the bed as well, and then looking out. So it has accessibility and it's open and light. And then in the bathroom, we have a cabinetry again. There's a washer dryer that's there, and a shower and toilet. So that all looks really lovely. So where's the resilience come in? Well, if you think the metaphor that we view, first of all, it's all there. It's just you can't see it. So why would you not want to be able to see it? Well, nobody wants to be reminded that they need these kinds of supports. If we think about eyeglasses are a medical device. We don't think of them as a medical device. They're a fashion statement. Here's my mother-in-law again in another pair of glasses. I wear black glasses because I'm an architect and my partner says I look good in them. So it's the way I want you to see me, and it's the way I want to see myself. And so the fact that I have a prescription in my glasses that helps me see is completely between me and my doctor. So we've taken that same methodology and brought it into Garden Loft so that we can provide that safety and support without sacrificing the look and feel of home. So now we're going to have another look at the inside of the house, not looking at just what a great place it is to live and how nice it would be to be in the garden with lots of open space, very close, like a couple minutes to your family, being able to look after grandkids and having the freedom to do all of that, and your independence and agency, but also in a contained way that you can manage. I want to show you the other side, the side that you can't see, the prescription lens in the glasses that shows you how that is. And I'm going to do that with a series of videos. That's the quickest way to do it. And it also gives you a bit of a better understanding about about the way in which the unit feels.
One of the features that makes Garden Loft so special is right at my feet. Our fall protection flooring reduces fall injury by 43% compared to a typical floor. It runs throughout the house, including the shower, to keep your mom and dad safe and to give you some peace of mind.
So that fall safe flooring is quite amazing. Reduces the risk of injury by 43%, and as far as I know to date, no one has broken a hip on while being on that floor. Of course, it's not cheap, and it's not something you would ever put in an existing house. But for a garden loft where it will always be used for aging in place, it makes sense. The next one are the integrated grab rails, which really, I think, personify this idea of how to make a safety feature disappear.
One of the features that makes Garden Loft so special can be hard to find. This very functional tea towel rack is also a grab rail for those with mobility issues. They run throughout the house, including the bathroom, and there's even a motion-detected nightlight for extra safety.
So attached to that are countertops that can be adjusted up and down. So it's a sit-stand counter in the kitchen and in the bathroom to accommodate people like me who's tall and may not one day be able to bend over, someone in a wheelchair, but most importantly, someone who may have a stamina issue and can't stand at the counter. My brother has cerebral palsy, and now that he's 60, is having a hard time standing up enough to be able to do the dishes and cook dinner. Imagine if you could just sit down, pull your dining room table or your dining room chair over to your kitchen counter and sit in perfect comfort while you cook.
One of the features that makes Garden Loft so special moves with the times. The height of the kitchen and bathroom counters can be fine-tuned to fit someone in a wheelchair, perching on a walker, and even someone like me who's tall and may have trouble bending over.
When we look one more time at the kitchen, there's a smart cooktop, which is a way of thinking about some cognitive issues as well as some visual challenges.
One of the features that makes Garden Loft so special really gets things cooking. The high contrast white knobs on this black cooktop are easy to see and simple to use. When connected to the smart home system, the electric cooktop can be set to automatically shut off if it is left alone too long.
So now we look in the bedroom area and some auto night lighting that is theirs. Because as you know, if you get up in the middle of the night and you have an urgent need to go to the washroom, if you can't see, you can easily fall over the cat or a sweater that might be on the ground, stub your toe, that sort of thing. But also if you turn the lights on so that you don't do that, there's a temporary blindness as your eyes are a little slower to react to that. And then, of course, there's another opportunity for a fall.
One of the features that makes Garden Loft so special only comes out at night. Motion-activated downlights near the bed and in the toe kick of the cabinets keep you safe when you get up at night and direct you to the bathroom without having to turn on overhead lights that can disrupt your night vision.
And although this isn't standard in the house, it's something that we've put in and we do recommend, which is an adjustable bed.
One of the features that makes Garden Loft so special is best understood lying down. The optional electric adjustable bed can be set for reading and watching TV or to give your legs a lift. It can even be raised high enough to change the sheets without having to bend down.
I have to say that last one was a real winner for me because if you think about the effort it takes to bend down to do your to make the bed, to be able to raise it up so that you can stand, or maybe you just raise it up to sitting height if you have a walker, or you just bring the chair over again. This is a central piece. This central cabinet is there. Architecturally, it separates the bed from the living space, but it also does some other things that you'll see right now.
One of the features that makes Garden Loft so special is the central cabinet in the GL380 model. The multifunctional design incorporates a 50-inch TV in the living room, a 42-inch TV for the bed, and an integrated table that can be used for work, dining for two, or stowed out of the way when you need more floor area.
Over by the bed on the left-hand side in that wooden headboard that you saw, we have a cabinet that has a special purpose.
One of the features that makes Garden Lofts so special is a breath of fresh air. The bed headboard has a hidden cabinet for an oxygen concentrator, and the picture rail running along the sidewall doubles as a chase for concealing the oxygen tubing, and that helps reduce tripping hazards. One of the features that makes Garden Lofts so special is within easy reach. The tall bedroom cabinet has low-set closet rods for those with limited range of movement, and the kitchen has an easy access pantry and waist-height microwave combi oven.
I'm sure you're getting sick of me saying one of the things that makes Garden Loft so special, but nevertheless, now we move into the bathroom.
One of the features that makes Garden Loft so special is right behind this sliding door. The bathroom is wheelchair accessible with a no-step shower, hands-free washlet toilet, mobility grab rails, cleverly disguised as towel bars, safety night lighting, lots of storage, and an adjustable height counter.
And then this is one that we may not think about, but the proximity to family is obviously an important feature.
One of the features that makes Garden Lofts so special is right outside this front window. As you can see, you're only a few seconds away if anything goes wrong, while still respecting the privacy and independence that both you and your mom and dad need and deserve.
And then finally, we have to talk about grandkids.
One of the features that makes Garden Lofts so special is being able to watch your grandchildren play right outside your front door. Living in the backyard also means that you can help out with minding the kids, even on short notice, without having to leave the comforts of your own home.
So as I said, we've got 4 versions of Garden Loft. I'll show you 3 of them very quickly. This is the one that I just showed you. So the entry door, the living space, this is that dining table and center cabinet, the kitchen with the storage beside it, that continuous handrail that goes all the way to the bathroom, the bed beside that. This is that little spot with the oxygen concentrator in. And then the bathroom is too tight to be able to show you the bathroom, all of the bathroom, but there's a stepless shower that has that fall-safe floor in it. We've got the a toilet, and then the adjustable sink, a storage cabinet, and then this is the washer dryer that can go up and down if it's ever needed. This is a glass door that can either slide to close off the toilet or close off the shower to prevent water splashing. Both that and that glass divider in the middle comes out if you do need to have either an aid to help you shower or you're in a wheelchair. This 480 is 7 feet longer and has its own separate bedroom. This is a sliding glass door, so sliding glass wall rather. So the one panel opens to give you access. We could frost the lower panels of that, but it lets the light continue to come in through the house and give you that loft feeling. Here, the television is over on the side with drawers below and a little bit more storage, and then this is all the same. And then you can take that same unit and add another unit, a half unit to it, where it becomes a 1-bedroom standalone. And what I love about this is that it has a partial corner there, or where you have a kind of courtyard. In this layout, the entry is over here on the back, and you have an entry mudroom that can be closed off with the washer dryer in it. Kitchen, dining, a much larger living room that looks out both to the front as well as to the side. And then the bedroom here. The bedroom can have a sliding door, and you can put the door back there. There's lots of options for the way in which you can do that. So I want to get to questions, but I just want to close once more with the idea that with a good plan and the right tools, growing old can be joyous. We should enjoy this part of our life, and we should do everything that we can to make sure that we're able to enjoy it to the fullest by living independently with with control of our lives in a safe manner for as long as possible. And we can do that in a great house that's custom designed just for you, where you can choose the inside and the outside just the way you want it. Thanks very much. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
This is phenomenal, John. So for our question and answer, if you would like to type a question to John, please feel free to click on the Q&A icon just located at the very bottom of your Zoom toolbar. Or if you would like to ask a question over the phone, just click the little icon that says raise hand, and I can give you phone control so that you can ask it live.
Typically, the first question that I get asked is, does it work? Oh, yes. Are the purchase for lease, purchase, or both? At the moment, they're available for purchase. And we're hoping to be able to set up a relationship with a company so that they're able to be leased, but they are available for purchase. We're exploring some options with reverse mortgages, where you can, if say, we're talking to a few people that would actually are interested in staying in their existing house, moving into a garden loft, renting out their existing house, which is too big for them to for some income, and then giving a slight break on the rent to be able to get someone that would come and do the, maybe they'd go grocery shopping for you, that sort of thing. In that case, you could get a chip mortgage where you pretty much would be able to pay for the unit. The big thing, however, is that it's possible to sell the unit because it's portable, it's pre-manufactured, all of those things, you can easily move it. And the idea would be that it would be constantly used over its 40, 50-year lifespan for people that need it, rather than it being downgraded to some other use. It could be, family could continue to use it as a guest suite or something, but then those services aren't quite being used. I hope that answers your question.
And we actually have a caller as well. Betty, if you want to just press *6, we can have you ask your question live.
How do I do that?
Oh, you're good to go. We can hear you.
Oh, I was just wondering, with the addition on a property, how does that affect the property taxes?
Yeah, so it's a good question. We're still talking to Edmonton and Calgary about that because it is temporary. There isn't yet a firm answer on whether there would be an increase in property taxes based on depending on the value of the existing property. How much it would be is also dependent on the overall. If it did increase, how much it would be dependent on the original value of the house. Obviously, $1 million house wouldn't have as percentage high a jump as something that was maybe $400,000.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Can I answer the question about working in cold climates? So yes, we've built a prototype, and we've been testing it for 4 years, 4 winters, and it performed extremely well. We built a very tight, high performance envelope that is very close to being passive house. So it doesn't use much energy, and it is rated for Fort McMurray temperature. So I think it's -50 is the rate, and it has an electric heating cooling system that is high efficiency. So it's both air conditioning and heating, and it is toasty warm throughout the winter. In terms of transport, it is transported by truck, and it can either come to the site by truck, and if there is rear yard access by truck down an alley, then it can be delivered that way, and if not, there's a crane that's involved. There was a question about modifying an existing house. We have modified an existing house. I'll say that that's a difficult thing to do, and something that I don't know that I would recommend. for several reasons. First of all, it's the things are expensive. These pieces are things that these strategies are expensive to do. And while they're extremely valuable for the person who's needs them at this particular moment in time, houses last a long time and renovations last a long time. And I've seen too many situations where we've gone in and done a modification to a house, and then 3 or 4 or 5, 10 years later, people go to sell it, and it's very difficult to sell because people don't want those modifications. And so, I think that it's something you want to take on very, very carefully. In terms of modifying an existing house to put on a suite, you could do that as well. More of a secondary or an additional master bedroom on the main floor with a bathroom for an aging parent to live in. The challenge with that is it's difficult to do that without losing another bedroom, because you need to be able to get to that other bedroom from the house itself, and most of our houses don't allow that to happen. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that clearly, but as an architect who's tried to do a lot of renovations over the years, it can be very difficult to add a renovation over the cost. And quite frankly, doing a garden loft would usually end up to be a little bit cheaper than doing a renovation, an addition renovation. Are there any other questions? If you're interested in more information, you can go to our website, gardenloft.ca. You can either do a virtual tour or you can do an in-person tour of our show suite. You can request a brochure. We also do a complimentary feasibility analysis where we'll look at your property. If you give us your address, we'll do an analysis based on some public city information and Google Earth to check out whether it is whether it's possible for the truck to get to your lot, whether it's possible to move, whether the bylaws allow it, and then to then move it onto the lot. Maybe we'll also say that usually I get a question around the hookups, the utility hookups. The hookups are in a shallow foundation or a shallow trench that connects back to the original house. So it's a very simple thing to do. You go down, you dig a small trench about that wide, down 3 feet, and we put the sewer and the water line. We heat tape it, put it in, insulate it, and put it in a pipe and run it through the ground, and then it goes into the existing house either through a window or through a cord a hole in the foundation, and attaches into the existing residence. And then the house sits on off the ground on 8 either feet or screw piles, which is the piles that people put decks into or construct decks with. And so it's very easy to do. It takes a couple of days to set that up. There may be some changes to the landscaping in order to be able to make that to make it work. And then when it comes time to remove it, it's just simply a question of unhooking them and removing it. We're not talking about what's left behind is very, very minimal. You're not disrupting your landscaping all that much because it's up off the ground. So all of the natural water patterns aren't disrupted, and then you sell it to someone else, to another family that needs this kind of high quality living space. And thank you very much for the kind words in the chat. I appreciate that.
I think we have one question about accessibility. So how to get to the road from the unit.
Oh, sure. So sorry, that's what that meant. I thought it was how do we get to the road. So if you look at that image, what we try to do is set the height of the unit so that it would match. If you have an existing deck, it matches the existing deck so that you can walk right off of that. And then usually that deck is on grade or on the same level as the inside of the house, or maybe only one step, and we can accommodate that there. If it's not, then we can either get the unit down low enough into the ground, and then if you, or we can have a small deck out in front, and then either a wheelchair lift or a ramp. There's lots of varying options. It really is site specific for what you need. There's a question about what about designing garden suites within large seniors buildings for people who have no relatives? Excellent question. We're actually talking to some people right now about that. Some care facilities. They usually have lots of property around them, and the idea of adding 2 or 3 units onto their property, and then you're able to live independently, but you still have the services close by. That would be an option. The length and width dimensions. So the small unit is 14 feet wide and it is 27 feet long. And there have been a few people that have been asking about the price range. So the 380 with the age in place features is $190,000. The 480 is $220,000. If you look at that from the point of view of actually, what I'm going to do is share my screen very quickly and show you how that compares. So if we look at this, if you fully mortgaged or financed the Garden Loft, so there was no cash down, and you added in utilities, you're looking around $1,600 a month. That ranks right in the middle of what an average apartment building with an elevator would cost to rent. That's where a lot of people end up. If we look instead at a lodge, that's basically taking an apartment and adding meals and activities based on an estimation of the meals and that family would be cooking, plus you getting some other meals sent to you, plus joining a club, a seniors club, would be about $2,300 a month, which again, for a unit, same size, same finish quality, it would be between $2,000 to $3,000. And then finally, if we just added in care, so you had private care as well as the home care, publicly accessible home care, you're looking around $4,400, which again is right in line with that. Of course, what you're getting in addition to that is proximity to a family or a friend, and you have your garden, and you've got something that's custom designed, that's standalone, very COVID resilient, because you have no communal halls. So I hope that helped answer the questions around cost. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for this, John. And if anybody would like to reach out to John with more questions, if you go to our Seniors Forum website and just click on this session, there's when you read the event description, it has the contact information of how to reach out for more information. John, this was phenomenal. I mean, I remember your session from last year, and seeing it come to life is extraordinarily exciting. And it's gorgeous. Like, I think this is like, I want to do this. So thank you. Like, this is.
All right. I really appreciate the invitation. Thank you. Have a good rest of the conference, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.